Resident Evil 4 Remake is yet another solid entry in Capcom's line of remakes in this franchise. While I've never disliked Resident Evil games, throughout the years I've ignored the majority of titles despite having awareness of their releases and general audience reception. This all changed with the release of the remakes of 2 and 3 back in 2019 and 2020, which sparked my interest in returning to the series as those games were modernized to current graphical standards. Following those entries, I then sunk into the first-person horror that was Resident Evil 7, followed by the next entry, Village, and now, the remake of 4. I only have faint memories playing portions of the original Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition at a friend's house which came out back in 2007, so consider my thoughts here on the remake as essentially coming from the perspective of a new player. And with that, I'm pleased to say that, once again, the developers over at Capcom have given us another solid hit. The story picks up several years after the events of Resident Evil 2, where Raccoon City was destroyed. Our main character, Leon Kennedy, has underwent training and is now an agent for the United States government. The president ends up sending Leon on a rescue mission to save his daughter, Ashley, who is trapped somewhere in a rural village in Spain. Upon arriving, Leon quickly discovers that something isn't right, as he not only finds his escorts to the village have been murdered, but also that the villagers seem to be controlled by a parasite known as Las Plagas, and have pledged themselves to an evil cult. With this information in hand, Leon must rescue Ashley, escape the area, and disrupt the plans of this cult before their infection reaches the rest of the world. I found the story of Resident Evil 4 Remake to be well written, easy to follow, and straight to the point. The game takes place across 3 different environments split across multiple chapters. Each chapter opens with a cutscene or conversation between characters, which serve to anchor the story and present the player with their initial objective. These cutscenes and conversations are further sprinkled throughout each chapter, paced well in between gameplay segments, such that the gameplay that exists at any moment serves to reinforce the plot, as opposed to there being long gameplay segments where you're not really sure what's going on or why what you're doing matters. Compared to Resident Evil 2 Remake, Leon is clearly more capable in this entry. Whereas in 2, we witness Leon as a rookie police officer thrust into a situation he's clearly unprepared for. In 4, Leon is depicted as a seasoned agent with expertise under his belt who won't go down without a fight. The supporting cast is also great too. The president's daughter, Ashley, who came off as more of a damsel in distress in the original game, is now given her own time in the remake to demonstrate her competence, often lending Leon a helpful hand along their journey. Along the way, you're also joined by the scientific researcher Luis, a charming fellow who aids you in your mission to eliminate the cult, as well as the femme fatale Ada Wong, who makes a return appearance too. As with prior Resident Evil remakes, the visuals of RE4R are stunning. The game takes place across 3 overall environments: the village, castle, and island. Despite the overall visual tone of the game being a dark one, each of these environments have their own distinct aesthetic that sets them apart from other areas. In the village, you're spending most of your time in an outside, rural environment, navigating through various houses, rocky paths, and bodies of water. The castle environment has you moving throughout elaborate indoor rooms and scaling grand architecture, while the island gives off slightly more industrial vibes. I like to draw attention to the game's use of lighting as well. One moment you'll be on your way to your objective in a well-lit area with all objects and enemies clearly in your view. In the next moment you'll find yourself in a dimly lit area where you have to keep constant alert of your surroundings in case you're snuck up on. Oftentimes, I found my recognition of the lighting alone in a given area as an indication of the mood being set for events soon to come. Lastly, this game features multiple cinematic set pieces and sequences that will be sure to stick in your memory. Each boss fight is practically a visual set piece itself, providing a satisfying conclusion to the closing of each chapter. From the awesome knife battles with Leon's trainer, Krauser, to the Del Lago boss fight on the lake, to storming and destroying the castle ramparts, Resident Evil 4 Remake will continue to wow you with its visuals from start to finish. When it comes to the gameplay in recent Resident Evil titles, I really have to hand it to Capcom for keeping things simple. From my experience, at a basic level, these games do not require any sort of extensive walkthrough in order to be completed, and Resident Evil 4 is no exception. The game is essentially guileless. Items, treasures, unlockable doors, and other objects are up front and easily observable via the in-game map. The game even makes use of goal trackers to allow players to monitor their progress towards these achievements. The game is also carefully paced between moments of action, exploration, cutscenes, and boss fights to capture and hold your attention constantly throughout its 15 to 20 hour runtime. Each of the game's 16 chapters lasts roughly about 45 minutes, which allows you to make meaningful progress even in a short gaming session. So many other games have such long and tiring segments with slow narrative arcs until anything substantial occurs that it's easy to get sucked out of the experience. So it was refreshing to see Resident Evil 4 get straight to the point. There's also variety offered in the gameplay beyond your common Resident Evil combat and puzzle segments. For example, there's a sequence in which you're in control of Ashley for an extended period without any weapons to kill enemies. I felt like a badass playing as Leon up to this point with all of my unlocked and upgraded gear. However, this sequence stripped all of that away and left me feeling completely vulnerable as I nervously ran and dodged my way through enemies. Later in the game, you'll unlock access to the shooting gallery, in which you can compete for high scores in minigames shooting targets to earn tokens that are redeemed for charms. These charms can be equipped at typewriters and offer a variety of gameplay bonuses, such as lower merchant prices, improved healing, and better drop rates. Additionally, various blue note requests scattered throughout each area reward you with a special item upon their completion that can be traded for new weapons and items. So, all in all, I was pleased with the efforts made to mix up the gameplay loop and keep the experience interesting. As for combat, your first big taste comes in the form of a village onslaught segment that is surprisingly aggressive considering how early in the game it is, and it quickly sets the tone, letting you know that enemies in this game do not mess around even on standard difficulty if you lack a plan or knowledge of how to use your surroundings to your advantage. Fortunately, the game offers weapons for all situations. You have at your disposal knives and shotguns for close range combat, handguns and submachine guns for mid-range fights, and rifles for long-range affairs. Crowd control options consist of frag and flash grenades, as well as attachable mines which can be fitted to bolt projectiles to form explosive bolts. The changing nature of enemies and the environments you will face them in serve to keep you alert, with some enemies even changing their behavior when weakened, so stay on your toes. Weapons may be upgraded upon visiting the merchant character, and fortunately there are lots of options right out of the gate in your initial encounters with him, such that you're not forced to wait way into the late game for your weapons to feel awesome. Upon finishing the game, you have the option of pursuing a New Game Plus run in order to obtain previously unavailable rewards, such as new weapons. The majority of your items in progress do carry over, allowing you to also more easily max out upgrades for your existing equipment. If you're up to it, this would also be a great time to take on the game's many speedrun challenges to unlock additional weapons and gear. I spent a lot of time in this area post-game and found the experience to give the game an entirely different feel. With memory of my initial playthrough, I found more efficient methods to navigate stages and clear out enemies, in some cases even skipping entire areas completely. If you like your games to provide adequate replay value, Resident Evil 4 Remake has you covered. In closing, Resident Evil 4 Remake has been a fantastic experience from start to finish. If you've been a fan of the prior remakes in the series, and especially if you were a fan of the original 2005 game, you should definitely get your hands on this one. Capcom has been on a bit of a run lately, with their release of the expansion to Monster Hunter Rise, Sunbreak, the Shadows of Rose expansion for Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and recently, Street Fighter 6. I hope this streak continues as I'm looking forward to what they come up with next.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comment section what your thoughts were on Resident Evil 4 Remake. That's all I have for now. Till next time.